Keep him out of trouble. Keep him out of trouble.
I knew he was coming back.
There's always been a fan of Jerry Lee Lewis. And Randy now has a rocket band. But I said for the next 5 years, call Randy. It's 25 and Randy's 25. Yeah. I'll tell
I think graduate just here.
He was with my little brother, Buddy, or Kel Wayne. That's who
First time Patty and I went to see her, some guy was on the pardon me. That's a long way out.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna get it right. I don't mean to.
You did.
Colette and I stayed in the kitchen all afternoon cooking.
I did the cobbler. Oh, goodness. Bobby killed the cow for the London broil. Yeah. All right. On May 14th, a letter was sent to the teachers of Fair Park High School, and it read, "Dear teachers, because you were an integral part of our lives during the 4 years we spent in Fair Park High School," well, most of us weren't just. "Because of a sense of dedication to the educating processes of hundreds of teenagers, because you instilled in us knowledge and concepts which we're still using 35 years later, because of friendships formed between you, the teacher, and us, the students, we, the graduating class of 1955, sincerely extend an invitation to you. Come and be our special guests at our banquet to be held at the Ramada Inn on Monkhouse Drive at I-20, Saturday evening, May 26, 1990, beginning at 6 p.m. Sincerely, the graduating class of 1955. We feel so honored to have you teachers come and be our guests tonight. We appreciate the fact that you responded to our invitation. The steering committee couldn't understand why more teachers didn't respond to the letters that we sent out, and we discussed it and we came up with 2 factors. Number one is, after 35 years, a lot of our teachers have passed on to that school in the sky. And the second reason is that some of them are in their golden years, that is, in their late 70s, perhaps even their early 80s, and they no longer get about in the evening. I said some of them. I'd like to read to my classmates 3 notes that I received from teachers who could not be with us tonight. "Dear class of 55, I will not be able to attend the reunion. My years at Fair Park hold some of my fondest memories. Not only did I have caring and intelligent students, bless her heart, the years have been kind. Not only did I have caring and intelligent students, but my fellow teachers were the greatest. Have fun and tell everyone hello for me. Sincerely, Davesy Iskett." And thanks for inviting me. "Dear class of 55, I appreciate so much the class of 55 remembering me. I'm sorry I'll be unable to accept your kind invitation to the banquet. My family is having a get-together that weekend and I'll be in Arcadia. I have very pleasant memories of my years at Fair Park, and I remember with pleasure that I had many fine students while there. The years are catching up with me, and I do not get out often at night anymore, but it's nice to be remembered, and I thank you for the invitation. My very best wishes to you and to the members of the class of 55, sincerely, Earlene Jordan." I shall be feeling joy with you as you share the hours of the 1955 Fair Park reunion. This has to be a time of beautiful memories and a time of learning about one another and for laughing about the past high school years. I hope that you can remember them as I remember them, for they were a happy, rich part of my life, and I carry the events and the faces in my heart and in my mind. As you have matured, I have grown older, and old age has to be an era for being careful. The wrinkles keep me at home when the shades of evening begin to settle. So I shall enjoy your reunion dinner with my memories and stay at home. Thank you for thinking of me on the big occasion, but I think it right for me not to go. I'll be loving you, hugging you at the distance, and thank you for coming into my life during our Fair Park years. With love, Ruth Johns. To our teachers who have honored us with your presence tonight, I would like for you to stand as I call your names and remain standing until we can recognize all of you. We have a couple Both of them were teachers at Fair Park High School, Mr. and Mrs. Garner, Joe D. and Geraldine. We have another couple, and she was a first grade or second grade teacher at Jewella. And he says that he did not get his gray hair from teaching you to drive, but he lost it teaching you to drive. Mr. and Mrs. Hollingsworth. We're so pleased to have, now, you have to understand, teachers, that when we did this, we did it with love. No, we really did. Mrs. Jones was Jenny. Now, you knew that, didn't you? And Mrs. Price, you were Antoinette. Antoinette Tumanella Price. Now, a lot of you fellas didn't take the subject, but Mrs. Mitchell taught a lot of us how to cook. She tried to teach some of us how to sew. But we're so glad to have her here, and this is her first time to be with the class of 55, Mrs. Eula B. Mitchell. Mrs. Murphy came to Fair Park High School at midterm our sophomore year. Mrs. Catherine Gamble was a sophomore English teacher, and at midterm she resigned. And Mrs. Murphy, bless her heart, she took over and took that harebrained, wild bunch that Ms. Gamble gave up. I think we were the ones who made her ill or something. But anyway, she has been an integral part of Fair Park until her retirement, I believe. That may be wrong, but she has been with the Caddo Parish school system for many years, Mrs. Sybil Murphy. Not that I'm saving the best for the last, but maybe I am. I just want to tell you this, that I looked at a sequoia. Now, I won't, you notice I didn't call the year, but I think it was the year most of us were born. Okay? A 1937 sequoia. And there was a beautiful picture of a beautiful woman. And her name is Weta McClellan, and we're so glad to have her. And she's like all of us. She graduated from college when she's 2 years old. Oh, my goodness. Classmates, we're the graduates of Fair Park High School, class of 1955. You and I are what American Graffiti and Happy Days is all about. 35 years have come and gone, and with those years, I feel sorry for today's teenager because they don't know what simple or really good times are all about. They don't know what fun we had back then. Now, whether we like it or not, teenagers today look at us and they consider us as old folks, over the hill, senile, weak in the head. And, you know, sometimes I think they may be right. I have put Coffee Mate in the icebox. Oh, refrigerator, excuse me. And I have walked into a room and forgot what I went in there for. Now, be honest, how many of you done that? Okay, I may forget what I had on yesterday. Well, I do remember wearing those pink socks last night. But I do remember the good times that I had in high school. 1955 was the year of the first Chevrolet V8. Remember that? It was the ugliest looking car. Went up and down Greenwood Road, but it was a V8, and I thought, boy, that's neat. We had boyfriends that had glass pack mufflers on their cars. Do you know I married Bobby Mullins for his mufflers? Country girl. Well, he rattles a lot, but no, he'd start that old 54 Mercury up and that thing go boom, 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 boom. Golly, that sounds good. Well, on with our memories. Do you remember when all the boys wore crew cuts? Well, maybe not all of them, because some of those fellas had ducktails. And when I said ducktails, Bobby said, Gerald Shaw Special. Gerald Shaw Special. Ducktails. Crew cuts. Remember that? The boys wore blue jeans, and they had the cuffs turned up 1 or 2 times. Wore loafers. Yeah. Starched shirts. And those shirts would have the sleeves rolled up 1 or 2 times. Remember that, fellas? Girls, you remember that? Girls, you remember that we wore white loafers, or maybe we wore white moccasins, or maybe the buff-colored moccasins? My mother said that going that close to barefooted would make your feet big. But I fooled her. I just got big feet anyway. But I never got to wear moccasins, but I had my share of white loafers. And do you remember the full skirts and the crinolines? Tons and tons of crinolines. Remember that? Yeah. Do you remember date time? A date consisted of being picked up by the boy in his parents' car, but if he was lucky, he might have his own car. With flashback mufflers.
Where did you go?
To the show. Ha, ha. None of your business, really. Now the boy would come, and he was well dressed. And the girl was too. Now, we didn't go on dates looking like we needed to have our clothes washed or they needed to go in the rag bag, like some of the kids today. A lot of times what we wore on those dates was the same thing that we would wash on Saturday and we'd wear to church on Sunday. And the date was usually a picture show. Do you remember the Rex? Do you remember the Centenary? How about the Venus and the Lake? Yeah. And of course the Strand was a picture show then, and the Dawn was the newest one in Shreveport at the time. There was the Glenwood, there was the Joy, Majestic.
The old West End.
Yes, the West End.
Sunset.
Capitol? The Capitol. All right, so there were a lot of picture shows that we went to, and then what did we do? After we got out of the picture show, and you know that back in 55, you could sit through two showings of the main event or the main picture, and they didn't run you out. You could do that.
Ryan, am I the only one who went to the drive-in?
Well, anyway, let's move along. Let's see, I lost my place. Okay. After the show, we went to the Tom Tom Drive-In, or the Corral, Triple X, Kokomo, Chat and Chew, and for those who were really wild, you went to the Amber Inn Drive-In, didn't you? Look at you. Okay. And Let's see, Triple X is still in existence, but it doesn't have a drive-in anymore.
Oh, they closed. Oh.
Breaks my heart. Something that new to be closed. Well, all right, so let's move on. You remember the school activities that we had? Does any teenager today know what a sock hop is? You say sock hop and they think, well, I didn't know that rabbits wore shoes and socks. They don't know what a sock hop is. Do you remember Sadie Hawkins' Day? That was the one time we gals got to ask these nasty old boys to dance. Do you remember Mardi Gras? Do you remember that Janice Walker was our queen and Tom Pinnell was our king? That was in 1955. And how about that Mardi Gras dance that was held in, of all places, the school cafeteria? But you remember, we didn't have a gym. We didn't have the gym. So the memories could go on and on and on and on and on. And that's why we're here last night and tonight, is to be together and to remember. Now, Sue Worrell and I wrote some words to a song called Thanks for the Memories. Bob Hope sings that. And I'd like to sing that for you now. Now, you girls that were in Glee Club with me for 3 years, you know that I was not a singer then, and I'm not a singer now. So I want you to pay close attention to the words, and this is what our graduating class of 1955 is all about. With the words to Fair Park High alma mater. Now I understand that there are some bird graduates here. I just don't know what to say. You may stay in this hallowed room, or you may leave, but you don't make fun of our alma mater. Yes, now everybody. Pardon?
I'll make you sight.
Get your glasses out, classmates. I told you you were over the hill. All right, let's give it a try. Everybody stand up. We're talking about our... Come to the podium now.
Don't be ashamed, Bill.
Well, I have the distinct honor tonight of introducing your steering committee. It's taken 5 years and many get-togethers to put this party where it is today. We've played a lot and we've worked a little bit. But without the presence of all of you, it could never be a success. You have made this reunion the success that it is. We just laid a little floor planks, is all we did. And I do thank each and every one of you for making this weekend so special for all of us. Thank you. I made a list of the committee so I wouldn't forget anybody. I may have to lay it on the floor to read it. Now I'm just kidding. I don't have that problem yet. I wear contacts. As I call your names, if you would just stand so everybody will know who you are. I mean, you know, you've worked hard at this. I think you need to be recognized. We have Sam Biondo and his wife, Betty. Wherever Sam. We have Betty Upchurch and her husband, Joe Breedlove. We have Jerry and Shorty Brown. And Bert Carroll. Jack and Pat Dice. Sue Worrell and her husband Ernest. Chuck Fulco, who I think he's getting ready for his performance tonight. I don't think he's here just yet. Colette and Penny Green. We have Toby Sims and her husband, Buzzy Hayes. We have Jimmy Joe and his wife, Marie, and we thought they would be here tonight. Jimmy, those of you who made the hospitality room this afternoon, he filled it with some very good food this afternoon. And Richard McDermott and his wife, Robbie. Lois Ponder McFarland, Diane Davis and her husband Bobby, Linda Dupree and her husband Al, John Williams, Romine, and I'd like to give a special thanks to Gerald Schaus, who helped us with the helium today. He picked up the helium and brought it to us so we could blow all these balloons up.
Bailey, who is a local decorator, and the flags and all, and the ideas, and all of that was all his help. And that just about finished. Yep, that's the end of my steering committee. But I want you to know that we have thoroughly enjoyed putting this party together, and I hope you have truly enjoyed it as well. Thank you. And now we're going to have Bert Carroll up here, and he's going to do a few prizes for us.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me? All right. As I look out through here and see all these name tags, it reminds me of the time I was in the military for about 20 years. When I first joined, they put name tags on us, and for a long time I thought it was so everybody could identify us. But I found out after about 20 years it's so you could recognize yourself. So that's part of the absent-mindedness, in case you forget who you are. You know, I forgot mine, so y'all remind me occasionally. Yeah. I'll try to observe all my proper grammar. I'm going back to my Fair Park education. I had a very, very lovely speech teacher who I really, really respected. I spent 2 years in the class. She made it real clear to me when I first started that she was going to really enjoy my presence also, and I wondered why, because every time I said get, it cost me a nickel. And she had tears in her eyes the last day of school. She said, I'm really going to miss all them coats. God bought me every day. And all you know is Miss Pope, too. To my left, we have 2 steering committee members that are going to assist us tonight in handing out 3 prizes. Betty Breedlove and Toby Sims. I've known Toby. Anybody got a Bud Light? I've known Toby Sims for a while, and of course her husband also. The categories that they've elected for us to hand out are longest distance traveled, the most grandchildren, and the youngest child. I've also received instructions from Colette, if nobody wins any of these categories, I have first choice at them. And of course the first one, the longest distance traveled, has anybody in this room traveled at least 10,000 miles? Took care of that, didn't I? I got that. That was mine. Okay, we might as well start off. I don't really feel like anybody's traveled longer than 3,000 miles, have they? How about 2,000 miles? We got 3,000 miles in the back? South Korea. South Korea. I think that's kind of picture of that. First is Louise Roberts. She came all the way from South Korea. She must be tired. I can imagine. That took care of that. That's easy. Okay, the most grandchildren. I don't know how to approach this because some of y'all probably got a whole bunch of them. Let's start off. Does anybody here has at least 7? Uh-oh.